Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Here is your Unit 1 test review. This is just linear concepts that we're going to go back over a lot from Algebra 1, so it should be pretty brief. However, if you watch this video in its entirety and take your notes, it should be beneficial to you. So let's get started. Slope of a plane given 2 points. So, given 2 points on our plane, x1 and y1 and x2, y2, you can find the slope of a line passing through those 2 points by the slope formula, right? M equals y1 minus y2, x1 minus x2. So, give an example here. I have the point -2, 3 and the point 4, 1. Now, first we should note that this is my x, right? 1. This is y1. This could be x2 and y2. Now it calls for y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So here's our y1, 3, minus y2, which is 1, all over x1, which is -2, minus 1. So 3 minus 1 is 2. -2 minus 1 more is -3. So we would get a slope m equals -2 over 3. Now that's just a slope. We're going to see how this will help us come up with the whole equation of a line now. So finding the equation of a line given 2 points. So here's our steps right here. 1, find your slope. 2, plug in, this should be in, the original x and y and the slope you solved for into the equation y equals mx plus b, also known as slope-intercept form, because we have the slope and the intercept are two informations that we have. So 1, find the equation of the line given the 2 points, -2, 3, and 4, 1. So first, find the slope. M equals y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So again, we have our x1, y1, x2, y2. So 3 minus 1 over -2 minus 4. These are m. And that equals 2 over -2 minus 4 is -6. And we should always reduce, we will always reduce that to 1, -1 over 3. So there's our slope, -1 over 3. And our rule number 2 states plug in the original x and y. So I could use this x and y, or I could use this x and y. Now the mistake I don't want to make is using this x and then using this y, or this x and this y. You have to use the same 2 points when solving for your b. So you have the slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b. Now I know my m, I just solved for it, -1/3. And now I need an x and a y. So I have -2 and 3 or 4 and 1. Let's go ahead and do -2 and 3. It really honestly does not matter. You should get the same answer either way. So I got -2. And then for my y, I plug in my 1. And I still have my plus b. Now I'm solving for b. So I multiply these out. So -1/3 times -2 gives me a positive 2/3 plus b. I still have a 1 over here. Then I subtract my 2/3 over, minus 2/3. 1 minus 2/3 gives us what? Yes, 1 is equal to 3 over 3 minus 2 over 3, and so that equals 1/3, and that's our b. So our full equation is, given our m right here and our b here, our equation will be y equals negative 1/3 x plus 1/3. 1/3. And there we go. That's how you get the equation of a line given 2 points. Given an equation from 2 points, here's another example. Excuse me. What is the equation of the line having an x-intercept of -6 and a slope of -2/3? Well, this is actually a little bit easier than what we just did. Why? Because they already gave us what the slope is. The slope is -2/3. So, given the equation y equals mx plus b, our slope represents for m, so I can go ahead and plug that in. Now, I need to choose an x and a y that I can plug in here. Well, I only have a number -6. That's the only number I see, right? Now, it says having an x-intercept of -6. So, oh, that was horrible. We're going to try that again. So, say I have a graph here, and my x-intercept is -6. Well, what does that mean? It means I cross over here at -6, right? Now, if I cross at -6, what's my y value there? I'm at the point -6, comma, right, 1. So now I have 2 points I could try. So for my x, I'll plug in -6. So I have a -2/3, -6 plus b. And then for my y, I'll plug in my 0. Let's see. So -2/3 times -6. My 3 cancels into my 6 and give me a 2. So -2 times -2 equals a +4 plus b equals 0. So b equals -4. And so the equation of my line is y equals my slope of -2/3 that they gave me, and then my y-intercept of -4. Sorry, -4. That was horrible. And there's the equation of my line. Moving on. Alright, so here are a couple special cases of slopes and equations that we'll get. So, vertical line. If you look at these 2 points right here, I have my x value at 1, my y value at 3. I also have an x value of 1 and a y value at -4. Now, we could tell straight off that that is not a function, right? Because for each input, I have different outputs. So if I go to my x at 1 here on my graph, and I'm looking at this very loosely, I have a value of 3 up here. So here's 1 point, and another one at -4 down here. Now, if I connect these lines, and I'm going to try to do this as best as possible, you can see it should be straight, right? And anything along that line, my x is equal to 1, right? 1 and 1. So that's how we can tell, A, it's a vertical line. When my x's are the same given 2 points, we have a vertical line. Now our slope here, using our y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2, I have 3 minus -4 over 1 minus 1. And what you see that gives you is a 7 over 0. So the slope for a vertical line, given that you can't divide anything by 0, is undefined. And the equation for that is, since we have every x value equal to 1, 1, and 1, and then you can tell anything up and down this vertical line, x would equal to 1. Our equation is that simple, x equals 1. And that'll always be a vertical line. Now, here, our horizontal line. What do we notice here? Just like our vertical line, our x's are equal, we notice right off the back that our y's are the same, right? Now, if we look at this on a graph over here, and of course, a very crude graph because my drawing skills on this thing is awesome. So, my first one, I'm at an x value of 2, 1, 2, and a y value of 4, we'll say right there. And then my second one, I'm at x value of negative 5, but my y value is still 4. And so we could see that anything, if we connect these, anything along there, isn't my y value always going to equal 4? Good. So let's calculate the slope of this. I got y1 minus y2, so I have 4 minus 4 over 2 minus negative 5. 4 minus 4 is 0, divided by 7. That was coincidental, I promise. So 0 divided by anything is what? You have a slope of 0. And some might say it is undetermined, but we'll say it's 0. And so if we think about that, if we have a slope of 0 in a horizontal line, now it's a function, right? We could do a vertical line test on this and see that no matter where we do a vertical line, it'll pass. Our equation is what? Since all of our y is equal to 4, no matter where we go, y equals 4. Now, to make a note on that, if we look at our y equals mx plus b form, it makes sense, right? Because if our slope is 0, well, it doesn't matter what our x is, right? This section right here will always be 0, only leaving us with what? Y equals b, or the value of y, which happens to also be our intercept, right? Our y-intercept right here. All right, going on. What is the equation of a horizontal line passing through the point 6, negative 2? Now, in order to answer this question, you have to know the difference between horizontal and vertical, right? So the way I tell the difference is a horizontal line, if you look at it, is like the horizon, right? It runs left to right or sideways or wherever you want to look at it. So this is a horizontal line. So if we look back at our previous post here, a horizontal line was here, and it took the equation form of what? Y equals 4, wherever y equaled 4. So here, we know we have a horizontal line, so we know it's going to look like this, or like this, depending on what my y is equal to. So here I have my x and my y. Well, my y is negative 2, so y is equal to negative 2. Now here I have, what is the equation of a vertical line passing through the point 5, 8? Well, vertical, if we think about this, the way I think of vertical is I think about a vertical jump, like in basketball. Vertical jump is how high you can jump, directly straight up. So that's kind of how I've always remembered vertical when I played basketball in high school, is you jump straight up. So here's your vertical line. Now going back to look at that, which of these two had a vertical line? The x equals 1 equation, right? So we know we're going to have an x equals, and then what's our x value here? 5. And we're done. So the key to these questions are knowing vertical line is x equals, horizontal line is y equals. And let's see what we got next. All right, word problems.